We'll start with 3 ohms. Om. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Saddarshanam. Today is our 10th session, and we have covered 25 verses so far. The last 3 verses which we discussed, 23, 24, and 25. In the 23rd verse, Ramana Maharishi was teaching us how to see the Lord. And he said, convert the attributes of the ahamkara as a food to him. That means there is a light of consciousness in our mind. To that light of consciousness, he says, you offer your ahamkara. And then in 24th verse, he described what is the real self. And he said, the real self is a light. It's a light of consciousness by which we are aware of the objects, by which we perceive the objects. Normally we think that my eyes are seeing the world, but here what we should learn is there is a light of consciousness which perceives the world. It's not the pure external eye. In the 25th verse, he said that the world arises when the ego arises. Ego means the I notion in this body. Generally, we say, if you want to see God, you open your eyes, you will see God. That means when we see the world, including our body, that is the vision of the Lord. That is what Bhagavad Gita teaches us. The Upanishads teaches us. Whatever we see is God, according to the Indian scriptures. We don't need a special vision or a special body or an avatara to say that this is God and this is not God. To us, trees are God, cow is God, idols are God. We have in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita and the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, I am the whole universe. Whatever you see. So whenever we are trying to discover where is that Lord, we should not be surprised and say that whatever we see, whatever we experience is that Lord only. Therefore, we will never miss the Lord in our lifetime if we have this vision. And then there is something which is very important, which is the point which Saddarshanam is trying to emphasize, is that this vision of the universe, this waking universe, comes to us only where there is an I notion in this body. That means the ego rises and then we see the world. When the ego is not there, as in sleep, This world which we are perceiving, all the problems which we perceive, the entire cosmos, it goes into unmanifest condition the moment I go to sleep. So this is the point which Ramana Maharishi is trying to tell us. In spite of this world not being experienced by us, we are still there, and that whatever is that pure state is my real nature. That is what is the essence behind all these verses, starting from the 25th verse up to 44th verse. The entire analysis is based on this fundamental thing, that when the ego is there, I do not remember my nature of pure consciousness. When the ego is not destroyed, but it is goes into unmanifest condition, as in sleep, I am with my real swarupam, which is the way I always exist. That swarupam, that nature never dies. If I am able to hold on to that vision throughout my life, I will never have a problem at all with anything in the world which we experience in the waking state. This is a clear distinction of how to do Atma, Anatma, Viveka. Let's now go into the 26th verse, and then these verses are all very deep verses. They take us directly into the context of Atma. So this verse is an analysis which we have to do through our mind, and each one of us have to do this analysis and then come to a conclusion and claim Atma as myself. This is an extremely important verse of the Bhagavad of this text. And here what Ramana Maharishi is saying is, the body does not know. That means it is inert. The truth, which is the consciousness, the pure awareness, has no birth. It always is, and it exists by itself. These are the two extremes. In one end, we see some body with a form, but it doesn't have awareness on its own. On the other hand, there is an awareness. It only knows itself, and it doesn't have a form. So there is pure consciousness without form, without location, and there is a body with form, with location, but without awareness. These are the two extremes. That is what he is trying to explain in this particular verse. Deho na janati sato na janmaha. That is what is saying, that the body doesn't know itself. Then what he says is, between these two exterior extreme ends, there is something which comes up, pops up in the waking state and the dream state. And that is what is called as the ego. This ego is the knower. And it is in the middle, it rises, and then it goes into unmanifest condition. It rises, it goes into unmanifest condition. Now this ego has got different names. That is what he is trying to tell us in this verse. And the names are Aham Kritihi. Aham Kritihi means Ahamkara. Grantihi. Grantihi means not. We will see all those names. Sukshma Shariram, that's another word which they use in the Shastra, subtle body. And the sense of becoming something. Now, this is what is constituted as the Jiva. So, the Jiva is nothing else but this ego. And throughout our waking state, we are only living the life of the ego factor in us. And the ego is something which is rising in the mind. We are going to analyze this ego in the following verses, and what role does it play? How is it born? How does it go into unmanifest condition? And through that, how can I realize the Atma? That is what we are going to study in the next 4 or 5 verses. Each verse is going deeper and deeper into the ego I. So here, body is inert, it does not know itself or anything else. Suppose a desk is there, desk does not know itself, a chair does not know itself. The mountains, they don't know themselves. Now the body has a birth, it has got all the modifications, shad vikaras, and then body dies. That means the form comes and the form goes. And the body is free from ego. Ego is something which gets born. I will explain to you how the ego is born a little later. So the ego is something which gets born as soon as the body is born, and then the ego dies, and then takes off another body. Ego dies as far as with reference to this body, but then it takes on another body. So ego is something which has got sentiency in it. Sentiency means what? I know I am. Actually, the knowing factor does not belong to the ego, but it is a borrowed aspect in the mind. And the lender of that is that pure awareness, consciousness, Chaitanyam, or what we can call it as Brahman. So there is a factor which my eyes cannot see, my mind cannot know, but I'm trying to analyze what is that factor. I can only analyze that factor with reference to what we know, what is visible. From the visible, we are trying to understand what is not visible to us. So the ego has birth, it has got death, but it is not the truth. And it is not found outside the body. So the ego is, so for example, each one of us thinks that I am the body. So the size of the ego is nothing else but the size of the body. Outside the body is the world. Now, existence or truth or the Chaitanyam or pure awareness is always free from this ego I, because it can exist by itself, as we know that it exists in sleep. In sleep, what happens? The body awareness goes away, the mind awareness goes away, and the ego is in unmanifest condition. And what remains is this pure Chaitanya. That is what I'm trying to discover first. After I discover, I have to claim that that is what is my real nature. These are the 2 steps. In the Upanishads and in the Bhagavad Gita, these are the 2 basic steps. 1, I must know that there is something called as Atma. There is something called as Chaitanyam, pure consciousness, awareness. That is the description we learn from the Bhagavad Gita, we learn from the Upanishads. All the Upanishads, they teach us that. There is some invisible factor which I don't know. And I have to claim that invisible factor as my real nature, which is very, very tough, but it can still be done, because people in the past have learned the scriptures and they have learned that their real nature is Atma. So we are not the first ones in this universe trying to understand the Veda. This is a time tested knowledge. So the ego eyes neither the body, but it has the characteristics of both the body and the consciousness principle. Because the moment I say I become aware that I am something in this body. I am aware that I am the mind. I am aware that the body is here right now and I am sort of inside the body. That is what is my general feeling, which is only a notion, but it is not the truth. Awareness is all pervading. It is an illusion that this awareness is only in this body, like the space. Space is not only in the room, it exists everywhere. The room, the hall, the whole cosmos exists in space. But our eyes think that there is a small room space, there's a big hall space, there's a big stadium space, and so on. Similarly, Atma is one. It is not outside the body or inside the body. And it is a you can't describe Atma with any words. That is what the Upanishads tell us. Because words are something which can only describe what the five sense organs can perceive. So what we have seen is in between the body and the sentient consciousness, there is a factor which is called as ego. This ego does not have an independent existence. It assumes the size of the body and gets or borrows the sentiency from the Atma. Like we can say, there is no reflection without the original sun. So if my mind is able to perceive the world through the sense organs, the power which the mind has is the reflected power of that pure consciousness. Like the sun is reflected in the water. The water stands for the mind. There is no ego without consciousness. Ego takes the illumination or borrows the illumination from consciousness. Illumination means what? It has the power to make things aware. That consciousness is making my body aware to me, is making the whole universe aware to me. And there is only one consciousness in the entire universe, and it is always nityaha. It's always there, eternal. So if I attach myself to that consciousness and drop the ego, that is what is called as Saddarshanam. Ego is without the body. There is no ego without the body or no ego without the mind. That means body and mind are the upadis. Upadi means the medium. Medium through which I can know that there is some other power which is other than the body. And that gets reflected the moment this gets reflected in the mind. That reflection is called as the ego, I. And what are the different names of the ego? That is very beautifully said by Ramana Maharshi. He says, Ahamkara is one name. Aham karomi iti ahamkara, the notion of doership. All of us, when we walk, we sing, we do work, we cook, we work in the office, we all say, I am doing all this work. So that I, which is attached to this body and mind and the sense organs is called as ahamkara, the ego. We say, I built this beautiful house, I built this company, I I got married, I built this entire infrastructure which you see before you. I work, I sing. All this is called ahamkara. Ego is also called as grantihi. Grantihi means knot. Why is it called as a knot? Because it ties the body to the sentient consciousness. So on the left side, you can see there is a consciousness which is limitless, unaffected by time. It is always existing, pure awareness. On the right side, you see a body which is temporary, medium, inert. It can't feel by itself. It cannot smell by itself. It cannot taste or touch by itself. It is always inert. There is no power in the body because they all belong to the 5 elements. In right from Tattvabodha to the Bhagavad Gita to the Upanishads, all the scriptures, they agree on one fundamental thing. Even the other philosophies like yoga, nyaya, vaiseshika, all other philosophies, everybody agrees that the body is made up of 5 elements. When I say body, it means the subtle body also. Subtle body consists of 17 organs. The gross body, you and I can see it. But that power behind the sense organs is coming from the consciousness. Now, both of these are tied by the I thought. That I thought is called as the knot. And it is appears as though it is a limited entity. It is limited to the size of the body. And it is limited because it comes in waking and it goes off in sleep. It comes in dream and again goes off in sleep. And this I has to know the pure consciousness as its nature. Today, this I thinks that it has got the power itself. So that is that I which has to say, Aham Brahma Asmi. I am that pure consciousness. And for saying this, it has to use the mind. A thought has to be created in the mind. That is the instrument by which it can say, it can realize this self. Ego is our pure consciousness appearing as a limited entity. It sustains the chain of ignorance, desire, action. Therefore, it's called as a knot of the heart. Heart here stands for the body-mind complex. So it is the I notion which is tying up all our desires. I want to build that, I want to get children, I want to have this for myself, I want that for myself. All this is nothing else but the ego I. Body by itself doesn't have this notion. It is a combination of the consciousness plus the body, the subtle body, which arises during the waking and the dream states. And the 3 knots which Mundaka Upanishad talks about, or most of the Upanishad they talk about, is avidya, kama, karma. Avidya means what? Ignorance that I am that pure awareness, consciousness, and I am an independent principle. The body does not belong to me. The mind does not belong to me. Nothing in the world belongs to me. I exist by myself is the ultimate truth of this entire universe. That truth is what is my real nature. I do not know that. That is what is called as ignorance. That ignorance leads to kama. Kama means desire. I want this in the world. I want that in the world. I want this. Hundreds and thousands of desires. They go on multiplying in the mind. And when the desires are there in the mind, what happens is the mind pushes the body into action. So what is this I which is tying up the three knots? The three knots are basically ignorance, avidya, kama, karma. These are the three strings of the knots. And we have to open up those three strings and then reveal the pure Chaitanyam which is hidden in these three knots. Vibandha means well bound, strong. It's a strong bondage. Ego binds to us to the body, mind, and its limitations of birth and death. It binds to objects and beings of the world with the notion of minus. That means this I becomes mine and my. Ahamkara takes on mamakara role. The moment I have I-ness in the body, through the body, I connect with all other objects or beings in the world. I connect with my children, I connect with my spouse, I connect with the entire universe. Is through this I. It alone is the cause of birth and death. And this ego is a very, very strong power which has the power to take on birth after birth, different bodies, so that it can exhaust the desires which it's holding. And each body is said to be one ego. Egos are many, but Atma, which is the holder of all these egos, is only one. Here, we must be very clear, unless until I learn to drop this ego, there is no moksha, there is no liberation. So all of us are trying for pure consciousness, to know the pure bliss, which is our real nature, and our inert thing. What we are trying to do through all our actions in the world is realize to drop this ego and claim our pure consciousness as my real nature. It's possible, and it has been done, and that is why this entire study is taking place. The second other name for this ahamkara or the ego is sukshma shariram. Sukshma means it is not perceived by the senses like the gross body. See, the gross body is perceivable. This is in Tattva Bodha itself. We know from Tattva Bodha text that Sukshma means I will know, but others will not see this. I will know my body conditions. I will know my eyes are working or not. I will know whether my ears can hear or not. I will know whether I'm hungry or not. I will know I am sorrowful, I am angry, I am jealous. These are all things which I know. All these are all modifications of the subtle body, which is what we are studying here. The I notion comes in the subtle body. And this I notion is perishable. Perishable means what? It arrives. For example, in the waking state, the waker I, the ego I, rises as soon as we wake up. In sleep, this ego I is not there. The waker I is not there, it is a sleeper I. So it puts on three dresses. That pure I puts on three dresses. One dress is called as the waker I. The second dress is called as the dreamer I. And the third dress is called as the sleeper eye. But in its original nature, it is neither the waker, it's neither the dreamer, it's neither the sleeper. That is what is called as Turiyam. In Mandukya Upanishad, they call it Turiyam. In all other things, in other Upanishads, they say it's Brahman, or pure awareness, or consciousness. So here, one thing very important is there is no, this I thought is perishable, but the aham, the pure consciousness, awareness is imperishable. One basic fact which only the Upanishads they reveal, or the Indian scriptures reveal this, is that the mind has a capacity to reflect the consciousness. This is known only from the Upanishads. We cannot see this. We cannot see our mind. We will know our mind. We will know that this mind exists for us. I have a memory. Who will know this? I will know this. I suddenly remember that I went to America last year. I had a good time. Those are all memories. But where is it coming from? Where does it exist? It exists in this body, but in the subtle body. This body consists of three portions: the gross body, subtle body, and the causal body. The causal body is the punya papam. The subtle body is the mind, along with the pranas, along with the indriyas, the organs of action and the organs of knowledge. So it is this subtle body which gets the direct reflection of pure consciousness. That pure consciousness is then lent to the gross body. The subtle body is more closer to the consciousness than the gross body. My mind is closer to the consciousness than the gross body. Bhavaha means this subtle body or the mind keeps on changing. It has a notion of becoming something. It is a modification of the mind. The mind is never happy with itself. It wants to be something tomorrow. It wants to be something day after tomorrow. So this is what is called as bhavaha. And this bhava is what prompts us into action. I want to be an engineer. I want to, we start planning. After 2 years, I will get this degree. After the degree, I will get a good job. I want to, then after I get a good job, I'll get married. After I get married, I'll have beautiful children. You see, these are all becoming. We are all throughout our life, right from baby to child to adulthood to, we are becoming. It is a constant change. So another name of the ego is bhavaha. Then the seventh name is jivaha. Jivaha means, which we know is an individual entity living in this body, which enlivens this body and mind complex. And this jiva always tries to maintain individuality in this body. I am is there. I am is a borrowed thing. And then that is called as the reflection. But then it always likes to stick to something. It sticks to the mind very, very strongly. And then the mind has got this, I am knowledgeable. I have this knowledge. I have physics knowledge. I have chemistry knowledge. So that is where it gets stuck, and then it becomes a particular individual. So one who is born, who drops the body, takes the body again, is called as the jiva or the ego. It is also called as pramata. Pramata means the knower of the world. And what is ahamkara? Technically, it is reflected consciousness plus the reflected medium. Together, they become the knowing principle, the knower. And that knower is called as pramata. Reflection in a mirror is a false entity. We all know that. I see a reflection. Even in the last talk, I was saying that when I go to a restaurant, I only order 1 cup of coffee. I see my reflection in the mirror there, but I don't order 2 cups, one for the reflection, one for me, because the reflection is a false entity. Similarly, we must note that original consciousness is the real entity. This ego I, which is a reflection of that consciousness, that is a false entity. The moment I understand the ego I is a false entity, in my mind, I should know this. That's all. It is intellectually, cognitively to be known. There is no change to be done outside. Externally, will remain the same. Again, tomorrow morning, we'll have more experiences. Only thing is, we have to remember this fact, which the Upanishads are trying to reveal, that this ego I is a mithya. The original face has got complexion. The reflected face has got movement because the mirror moves. Suppose the mirror is moving, my image in the mirror seems to be moving. But it is a transferred image from the original face to the mirror. The location of that image is because of the location of the mirror. Similarly, the location of the reflected consciousness in this body is a borrowed location because of the borrowing from the mind and the body, the gross body. So the reflected face has got features belonging to the mirror, features belonging to the original face. Similarly, the ego I has got features which belong to the original consciousness and features which belong to the body. Original consciousness is sentient. It has the power to walk, to think, to smell, to touch, to feel. The reflected consciousness has a location borrowed from the mind. The location is borrowed from the mind and the gross body, but the sentiency is borrowed from Atma. And then it passes it on to the sense organs. So ahamkara, the ego, is different from Atma, and it is also different from the inert body. And this ego rises not anywhere in the world. It rises only in the proximate of the mind. Wherever the mind is there, it rises. In sleep, Atma is there, but no I thought. There is no ego in the sleep state. Body is there, but it is as good as non-existent. As good as, seemingly existent, but as good as non-existing. This is how we have to analyze and come to a conclusion that I am that pure awareness. I am not this ego which is experienced in the waking state and in the dream state. There's no time experienced in the sleep state, but I exist. Therefore, we say that the Atma is timeless. It is beyond time. Whereas the body has got time. It is born on a certain date, it will die on a certain day. It will disappear. But the consciousness is permanently there. It exists. In that pure consciousness, this appearance comes and goes. Appearance comes and goes. It is a substratum for the appearances. So the conclusion is what here? Ahamkara is a false entity. We need to drop it by knowledge that it is a pure appearance, not a reality. When I, the Sakshi, learn to drop the Ahamkara, then I remain in my original nature. That means I am that pure consciousness. When I come to know that I am that original face, the original consciousness, not this ego I, that state is called as the state of liberation. That is the state of, that is what we are searching for. Purushartha. This is the fourth Purushartha. This ego I has got, it runs to do dharma in the world. Dharma Purushartha. It has got Kama Purushartha. It wants to enjoy life. Then Dharma Artha. It wants to collect a lot of things, name, fame, wealth. It wants to collect a lot of things. That is called as Artha. So Dharma, Artha, Kama, all this is all meant for whom? It is meant for the ego I. But then this ego I gets tired. It says, no, I have had enough of this. I want to now drop all this, but I want to realize when I drop all this, who am I? That is where we all become mumukshus. We all want to know who are we. So dropping the connections which belong to this ahamkara through the body, we learn to realize our true nature. So that was the explanation. It is the most important verse in the entire Saddarshanam, because this is where Ramana Maharshi reveals the true nature of Atma and the true nature of the I notion in the body. And his entire 44 verses are going around this I notion only. And he says this I notion is a false entity, which is very clear in the 26th verse. And it says that what is false, I learn to say it is not me. What exists all the time, because in me, I have got two factors. I have got the ego factor. I have got the Atma factor. That is how we have to analyze in our own self, because all this is all words. They are all knowledge about me, the consciousness. So I have to learn, I have to think about these, the meaning of these words in my own self. When I learn to analyze in this way, I will be able to straight away go into the lap of Atma. The purpose of our study is ultimately, whether we study any texts, whether it is Dakshinamurti Stotram or whether we study the Upanishad or the Bhagavad Gita, is all to come to this I notion, drop the I notion as false, and then claim our real nature as pure consciousness, which is getting reflected in the I. So here in the 27th verse, he says, Ramana Maharshi says, this ghost of the ego is born amidst the forms of body and mind, and it is based on the form. It is the eater of all the forms which it sees. By itself, it is formless. And once we inquiry into this ego I, this disappears. So that is why we call this ego I as another name for ego I is Maya, Manaha. So all these are all just names. Mind is also nothing else but this Maya or ego. So how is the ego born? How does it act and how does it die? Ego is born in between the body and the self. Ego is comfortably remains amongst the various forms, remains within various forms means what? Amongst the body, the sense organs, the eyes, the ears, the ego is there. Ego puts on the extra weight when it feeds on fame, status, power. That means the I-ness in our mind becomes bloated. I have done this. I have achieved these things in the world. I've got a PhD. I've got this. All these are all nothing but more and more additions to this false appearance, which is an ego. False. It is false. Only the Bhagavad Gita or the scriptures will tell you it is false. If you don't come to the texts, these texts, you will think that I am great. Each one of us, before we come to the scriptures, we have a limited sense about our greatness. And that is what we think is our image. Because that is the image which we have created in our mind. That reflected consciousness has given that connection to the mind's projections about the mind itself. So the mind has thoughts. I am rich. I've got $100 million in my account. I've got so many things in life. I've got a huge family. I've got all this is all ego. And Ramana Maharishi goes straight to this point and says, this ego is false. Don't get carried away by this, because it will give you sorrow at the end of the day. It rises on in its own as the first thought and rises after owning the last one. That means it rests. You get up in the morning, the I notion ego comes in. That means the first thought in the morning, whatever is the thought, is for all of us, the first thought when we wake up is I thought. Wherever you are, you may be anywhere in any part of the universe. After you get up, the first thought, whoever it be, the first thought is I am. That is called as the I thought. After you get this I thought, then you get the knowledge, I am in Singapore, I am in India, I'm in Germany, I'm in America, I'm in Miami, I'm in so and so place. And then what happens to this ego? When you go to sleep, the ego drops itself. It rests in the consciousness. It rests in Paramatma. That consciousness, another name for consciousness is Ishvara. So ego drops and it rests with Paramatma. For 8 hours, it doesn't know where it is. 8 full hours. It doesn't know where it is. It doesn't know its own status. It has got no location, no time. This ego, body is there, body is inert. Like the table and chair and the stone and the mountains, and it is all there. This universe has got all these inert things. So our body becomes like one of those other things in creation. And what really makes the difference between an inert thing and the conscious, and consciousness is always there, other extreme. And consciousness doesn't know itself. It is always existent principle. But this ego I is the reflection. When we wake up, I notion comes in this body. Through this I notion, we carry out all our transactions throughout the day. Good transactions, bad transactions. So it's just this is what is known as Prakriti. In the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Prakriti does everything. If you all remember the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, very clearly there it says that the Prakriti is doing all actions. One of the things of the name of this ego I is Prakriti. This Prakriti does all the actions through the three gunas. And then it goes to sleep. Like I said, when it goes to sleep, it rests in Atma. Every moment it gives up and takes on forms at an incredible speed of the mind. Every moment, these are the gunas. Every moment, the sattva guna, rajas guna, tamo guna, because we are all senior students, we have gone through the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita. I can bring in the topic of sattva, rajas, and tamas. Constantly changing. That is why it is called as Prakriti. Constantly changing. So our mind is constantly changing and it wants to become something tomorrow. And the ego I am remains the same whether you are a king or a beggar, whether you are in Africa or whether you live in Singapore or in America. I am is the same for all of us. That is what is called as the ego I notion. After that I notion is other things like the body, like the thoughts in the mind. We identify with the thoughts, we say I am knowledgeable. We identified with a particular body, we say I am male, I am female, and so on. And this I is what this is what Ramana Maharishi says, you catch that ego. You try to find out where is this ego coming from. It will disappear. The survival instinct of the ego is very strong because it borrows all the attributes of the anatma and it survives. What are the attributes of the anatma? The pancha koshas. The ego I attaches itself with the gross body, annamaya kosha, and it says, I am fat, I am lean, I am tall, I am short. I have this disease, I have that disease. This is all the body. It says body is made up of food, annam. Gross body is made up of only food. Taittiriya Upanishad clearly says. Tattvabodha also says this. Body is made up of annamayam. But the ego thinks that it is the body. Pranamaya, I am hungry or thirsty. Hunger and thirst belong to the prana. It does not belong to the body, it belongs to the prana. The breathing which we do, the prana makes us hungry. The prana makes us thirsty. So I say I am thirsty instead of saying the pranas are thirsty in this body. Manomaya. Manomaya means happiness and sadness. Mind has got thoughts of happiness for a few hours or moments or seconds or for a moment of time, we say, yes, I am very happy. This happiness will not last because it depends on the three gunas. Sattva is just come in, but rajas is just waiting. Rajas means what? Action. The moment action comes, tamas is waiting behind that. Tamas is what? Inertia. Go to sleep. So the cycle of rajas, tamas, and sattva causes happiness or sadness or a mixture. The I notion, the ego I identifies with this and it becomes happy or sad. Vijnanamaya kosha, the I notion says I understood this very clearly. Or it says I didn't understand. Actually, it was the mind which was trying to understand or not understand. It was the quality of the mind. It understood or it didn't understand. It got educated, it got a beautiful degree, it got a job. But that is the qualification of the intellect and the mind. It is the Vijnanamaya kosha, the dress which I am holding on. Anandamaya kosha is our sleepiness or drowsiness. These five dresses are coats of anatma. From the atma, only the thing which is borrowed is I am. Everything else is borrowed from the pancha koshas. For the ego I. We are analyzing the ego I so that we can drop the ego I, and then we can say I am the pure Atma. That is how this text is moving forward. Ego, with reference to jnana indriyas, thinks that it is a bhokta. I am a father, I am a mother. The ego, with reference to the karma indriyas, thinks that it is a karta. So karta and bhokta are with reference to the two indriya groups. Bhokta means I am enjoying beautiful forms through the eyes. I listen to very nice music through my ears. That is a bhokta. I taste lovely food, bhokta, enjoyer. I want to run Olympic race. That is karta. I use my legs. I want to be a great swimmer. Again, a karta. I want to be a mountaineer. I want to go there. I want to go there. Go here. I want to visit America. See my children. So that is karta, the karta, because it is attaching itself to the karma indriyas. Dakshinamurti Stotram, in the 8th verse, it says, Vishwam pashyati karya karanataya swaswami sambandataha shishyacharya yataiva pitruputradhyatmana bhedataha swapne jagratiya vaya esha purushaha maya paribhramitaha tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye namaha Shri Dakshinamurtaye namaha. So what it says is this Purusha, which is this Atma in this body, is world in Maya. It becomes a teacher, it becomes a son, it becomes a daughter, it becomes a wife. This is the ego I. This is what is saying. This verse number 8 in the Dakshinamurti clearly says the ego I, the waker I, the dreamer I is a false I, and it has got a cause-effect relationship, a possessor-possession relationship. This ego I. When the ego I is in front of the son, it thinks that it is the father. The other way around. When I am there in front of my father, I think I am the son. So who am I? Am I a son or am I a father? It is a relative concept. The whole world of Jagrat or Swapna is a relative world. With reference to certain things, I am something. With reference to something else, I am something else. In both waking and dream. That is why they are called as relative world. What is absolute, which doesn't change, is that pure consciousness, which is the ultimate truth about myself. And to that Dakshinamurti, who is teaching me that pure state of consciousness, I give my namaskara. Very beautiful shlokas in Dakshinamurti, which we will be taking up probably after this text is over. We might be taking up Dakshinamurti Stotram. A quick revision for those who have already done it. We might do that. I'll let you know. So the waking, sleep, and dream, the ego moves in and attaches to different attributes of the body and mind. And then it gets resolved. It has raga, dvesha, krodha, kama, all taken up attributes by the ego I. That ego I in the waking state is called as the Vishwa in the Mandukya Upanishad. Why do we give names to this? So that I can reach that state which is called as the Turiyam state. By giving names, I learned to compartmentalize a certain group of experiences into one compartment. So all the waking experiences, I want to put it under one box. It is called as Vishwa. And when I put all the experiences of my dream into another box, I call it the Taijasa, the dreamer I. And the attributes, when they are resolved, that means I don't have any attributes, that resolved condition of the ego itself is called as prajna, the sleeper I. So the sleeper I is not the waker I, it is not the dreamer I, but it is a condition of unmanifest condition of the same ego which comes up in the morning. That unmanifest condition is called as the sleep state. The sleep state is called as the ignorant state, because it doesn't know itself, neither it knows the world or neither it knows itself. It is asleep to its original nature, which is that pure consciousness, which is the ultimate truth for all of us. Whether you're listening this talk in America, whether you're listening in London or listening this in India or in Singapore, we are all that pure awareness, consciousness principle. When we become aware of that consciousness principle, which is beyond this ego I of waker I, dreamer I, and sleeper I, that is called as Saddarshanam. So the properties of anatma, body and mind, are the food for the ego I. That is what Ramana Maharshi is saying. It lives on, that is the food on which the ego survives. And suppose you say, I will not give that food to the ego I, what will happen? It will disappear. You remove the food from the ego I, in your own mind, you just tell that ego I is not the waker I, it is not the dreamer I, it is not the sleeper I. What is it? There is no I notion at all. There are no words to describe that state. That is what is called as the Turiyavastha. It is a state where words cannot reach, where the mind cannot think. Yato vacho nivartante. That is what Taittiriya Upanishad says. There is no words which can reach there. Mind cannot, thoughts cannot reach. That is called as Atma. That is called as Saddarshanam. Pure consciousness awareness. My own real nature. I alone exist. It's Advaitam. That is where Ramana Maharshi wants all of us to travel to. He says in meditation, learn to drop the roles and the attributes of anatma. Father I, wife I, director I, student I, and then what remains is called as Brahman, or pure consciousness. When I am left alone without all the roles, for example, I am a father only in front of a son. Suppose the son is somewhere in India, or he's in Germany or someplace. Who am I? I'm not with reference to him, I will say I'm a father. But without any reference, who am I? That is what is the question Ramana Maharshi is asking. Without a reference to my daughter who is going to school tomorrow or in college, or without reference to my mother, who am I? I'm not a daughter. That pure self is the revelation of Saddarshanam. With that pure consciousness as in front of that, the name given to me is called as Brahman. Suppose you have realized that state. You can say, Aham Brahma Asmi. That's all. Saddarshanam has revealed that state to you. Without all the roles, dropping all the roles, what remains is called as Sat or Chit. That is beautifully explained in the 27th verse. We'll see whether we can take the 28th verse. I have another 10-15 minutes. The 28th verse, what it says is, how does this ego disappear? In the being of the ego, all this shines. That we have seen now. That means when the ego is there, the entire world is shining. And in the dissolution of the ego, nothing is there. That means nothing shines. So therefore, all this is of a form of the ego. The search for it is the way to all victory. That means all what I want to really know, when I say I want to really know who I am, what Ramana Maharshi is saying is just try to take a simple path, very simple, find out who is this I who is saying I am in this body or mind. Who is this? When you try to inquire into this I, it will learn to drop itself and reveal itself. This is what is the path which is being shown to us. This is a very practical way to realize our true nature. Upanishads, they try to tell us everything about that pure state, pure consciousness. It is adrishyam, it is not this, not this, not this. That is the Upanishads way of revealing Atma. Bhagavad Gita, it will tell us you are gunatita Atma. Drop all the three gunas. Chapter 14 of the Bhagavad Gita is a most important chapter where Lord Krishna teaches us how to realize Atma, or the same Saddarshanam which Ramana Maharshi is trying to reveal to us. Lord Krishna teaches us in the 14th chapter. He says, drop the three gunas from this body. Guna atita jiva is nothing else but Ishvara. Pure awareness. Without the mind, without the body. That is what is revealed in the Bhagavad Gita. That is the most important chapter to know the real I. So similarly, he is trying to tell us here, how does the ego disappear? The world is experienced only in the existence of the ego. And the world seems to disappear when the ego disappears in sleep. Like clay, it was there in the beginning and it will be there in the end. And what is pot? Pot is an intermediary name and form given to the shape of clay. Similarly, all of us are there in the beginning as Brahman, as pure awareness. In the end, when this body is dropped, body pot is dropped, we will merge into our real nature, which is Sat Chit Ananda. So in the beginning, we came from Satchidananda into this body. In the end, we will drop this body and go back to our pure nature of awareness, consciousness. And how is this awareness, consciousness? Exactly like what we are in our sleep state. That will be the way we will be when the body is dropped. So consciousness is aham, the pure I am. And it is always purnaha. Purnaha means always full. It has no desires. The mind has got desires. The ego has got desires. So the ego and the world is illusory. It borrows the consciousness and the existence from that pure Atma, pure self. That pure self is Nityaha. Nitya means what? It is not affected by time. In sleep, are we affected by time? No. That pure consciousness is always there in its original form. And it is Shuddha. Shuddha means it is always pure. How does the ego disappear? The ego disappears by knowing the self. The I notion drops and then it merges with the pure consciousness. Ego and ego created world of plurality disappears. The whole world which we experience in our waking state, it disappears. So conquer the mind and then you can conquer the world. Why? Because the whole world is nothing else but it is in the mind only. The mind itself disappears in sleep. So when you are living in the waking world, if you are aware that I am that pure consciousness, we'll have control over all our decisions. We'll be very clear in our thoughts. When I understand my mind, I understand all minds. Because subtle body is the same, which consists of the 5 elements. I understand that I am this ahamkara is nothing but it is a shining in the subtle elements. And your mind, my mind, everybody's mind is the same. So if I know that that subtle body is not me, but I am that pure consciousness which has got no birth, no death, it always is, then I will know the source of ego I, which is called as, the source is called as existence consciousness or Atma. All the I's, they resolve into one consciousness only. For you, there is no separate consciousness. For me, there is no separate consciousness. There is only one consciousness in which all the ego I's resolve in sleep. Ego gives up its separate existence and merges in the self. And this ego depends on the attributes of the Pancha Koshas. As long as the Pancha Koshas are there, visible to you, you will have this ego I. You cannot lose the ego I at all. Ahamkara takes on all the attributes, is the eater of all the attributes. That is how Ramana Maharshi puts it. And the attributes of this Pancha Anatmas is what? It is Srishti, Sthiti, Layam. It has got 3 main attributes. It rises, the entire Anatma rises. That is what is called a Srishti. Remains for a length of time, Sthiti, and then it goes away, Layam. And this Srishti, Sthiti, Layam is the Karanam for the Ahankara. Ahankara's rise, sustenance and resolution is dependent on the Pancha Koshas. Whereas Atma is Nirvikaram. There are no modifications for the Atma. Ahamkara is Savikaram. Savikaram means it has modification. It lives on borrowed life of the Panchakoshas. It is a third seeming entity like a reflected face in the mirror. Always remember this 3 verses, 26, 27, 28, all of them, if you remember that the image seen in a mirror is not real. That is the central message. That means the image seen in the waking, dream and sleep is an appearance. It exists, it has an appearance, it has got a utility value, it can experience all this good and bad as per the punyam and papam of the jiva, but it will disappear. All karmas are done for the ahamkara's sake. But it is really not existent. Existent is only one thing, Atma. So with this 28th verse, I will stop here. In case you have some questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, we'll continue with the 29th verse next week. These are all texts which are meant for people who have done the Bhagavad Gita, who have done the Upanishads, who have got a gist of how to drop the three bodies, the five koshas, the three states, and how one can learn to experience that pure nature of ours. This is the goal of this text. They are trying to reveal to us the same thing which Bhagavad Gita teaches as a gunatita. That means I am not one of the gunas, but they are all dancing in me in the consciousness, and the gunas will keep on changing very, very dynamically. Your mind, can you see? The moment you become aware of the mind, you will find out how at a what speed the mind is changing. You will admire the Lord who has created such a mind. And through this mind, it is giving us the entire field of experiences. One experience is one episode, another episode, another episode. Your mind will be thinking of 10 episodes, one thing about the family, one thing about the business, one thing about the situation in Singapore. These are all different episodes happening in the mind. Each mind of ours extremely powerful to analyze the pancha koshas and to analyze the pancha anatmas. Okay, so we'll end today. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnahat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Let me see if there's any questions on the chat board. Yeah. Okay, Rajesh Rao. Okay. Okay, Lakshmi is asking a question. Without ego, Rajasic Guna, how can we survive in this transactional world of our living? Okay, good question. Deepak, nice to see you after a long time. Okay, so the question here is, without ego, how to live how to survive? No, you cannot survive without ego. Very clear. Be very, very clear. The I factor is very much important. The ego I is extremely important for us. So throughout our waking state, don't try to drop the ego at all. You will never be able to drop it. This is a natural phenomena of the universe. The ego I, as soon as it is reflected in the morning when we get up, till we go to sleep, ego will remain as it is. You cannot escape. The ego I will go through the sukham and dukham, what it has taken this body for. The ego I has taken the body. So we will be able to we will not be able to remove this ego I at all during the transactions. So Lakshmi, be careful. The waker I is there. That is the ego I. The dreamer I will be there. Sleeper I will be there. What we have to learn is this is a false entity. That's all. It is mithya. Another word which we generally use in Vedanta is ahamkara is mithya. Mithya means it is there, it is experienceable, but not real. What is real? Real is my pure state. which is what I am in my sleep state. I am that pure consciousness, Turiyam, or what Mandukya says, that is just a name given to that consciousness. It's just a name. You see, the same thing Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita as Gunatita. Gunatita means what? The three gunas which are playing in the mind are not me. I am something other than the three gunas. I cannot get rid of the three gunas. Nobody can get rid of the three gunas. Nobody can get rid of the medium. Deepak is asking, what is the what is the reflected medium?
I just want a little more clarity. I know reflected consciousness. Medium is what? I'm just getting a little this thing.
Okay, very
confused.
good. Yeah, Deepak. The question, it's a good question. See, when I'm saying medium, this whole body which we see is a medium.
Okay.
The gross body is a medium.
Okay.
The subtle body is the mind is also the medium.
Okay. Mind body is the medium. Okay.
Yes, the pranas are also the medium.
Okay. And consciousness is the subtle body then?
No, it is not. It
reflected
gets
consciousness
in the subtle body. That's correct.
Yes.
And through the subtle body, it gets reflected in the gross body also.
Gross body.
That means so when I see this gross body, I am seeing the consciousness in the gross body. It is there, but I am not aware.
Now the consciousness is reflected consciousness, which reflects in the body-mind construct.
Yes. So the medium, when your answer to the question, what is the medium? The medium means it is the entire physical body which we are seeing. It is the mind which we are experiencing. And the causal body, that means wherever we are, whatever is the unmanifest condition of this gross body and subtle body in the sleep state, that is called as the medium also.
Also unmanifested.
The unmanifest condition of this gross body and the subtle body in the sleep state is also a medium.
Medium. And the bhokta is experiencer.
Yes.
Experienced.
The bhokta
and karta is the
karta
is the doership.
Whenever that consciousness is related to the pancha jnana indriyas, it is called as a bhokta.
Which means that the consciousness through the indriyas is experiencing this world.
Yes.
Is the bhokta, and karta is the doership.
That means it goes through the 5 organs of action. The moment it attaches itself to legs, it will say, I am walking, I am running, I was traveling.
So the whole concept of I am doing this while
attaching itself to the karma indriyas.
Yes.
Then that becomes the karta. So bhokta and karta are basically the 2 names of ahamkara.
Right. So as I understand, Mr. Shekhar, that consciousness gives rise to ahankara, ahankara gives rise to the mind-body construct, and on inquiry, it was mentioned that the mind dissolves in ahankara and ahankara dissolves in the consciousness.
Yes, it dissolves.
In a sense.
Ultimately, it dissolves into that pure consciousness.
So when you say that the ahankara escapes inquiry, it means that when you ask the mind as to who am I, the mind gets dissolved first.
Exactly. The mind gets dissolved because it doesn't have an answer. When you ask the question to yourself, you close your eyes and ask the question, who am I? Who am I in this body? There is no answer.
So when we say that the ahankara gets dissolved, or ahankara resides in the consciousness, it means that or mind gets dissolved means the I part of the mind gets dissolved.
Exactly. That I part of the mind gets dissolved means that thoughts which was bothering you, they get dissolved. You know, all the
ahankara
thinking, yeah, I'm the body, I was having this problem, all the thoughts go away, because the moment you say I am not the body or not the mind, then you are asking the question. You're not asking the question with the body. You are asking the question, I am not the body, I'm not the mind, but who am I? Who is that aham which is there in this body? Because that aham is that pure consciousness. And that can never say I am, because it is pure. It is always there, and it is always without the mind.
The pure consciousness gives rise to aham, which gives rise to the mind, body, and I, gives the
Yes,
I-ness.
that's correct.
Basically, consciousness plus mind, body is
the
the
ahankara.
I-ness.
Yes.
Is ahankara or I-ness.
Yes. Now you got it. Okay, very good. Is there any other questions by anybody else?
Secretary,
Yes, Bhai.
in the earlier statement, you said that Lord Krishna says how to drop the three gunas.
Yes.
So how do we drop the three gunas?
Yeah, you see, a very good question. See, in the 14th chapter, what Lord Krishna teaches is that you drop the three gunas as not belonging to me, but it belongs to the nature, the five elements. The five elements together, they constitute the three gunas in different combinations and permutations. That means the nature, that means the mind, what you call as a mind is nothing but it is a five elements, because mind is made up of five elements. You know, the five elements in a different form are called as mind. The five elements in the gross form are called as the body. So what he says is that there is a combination which is happening, which is in the mind, and and that is called as the three gunas, which is given back to the prakriti. So the moment you take the three gunas and says, Lord Ishvara, you are now appearing as these three gunas, I give back my mind to you. That means my mind means my whatever is acting in my mind as the mind, which is the subtle body, which is the subtle elements. I give it back to you. I give it back to Ishvara, Samashti Ishvara. And then he says, you remain as the pure consciousness. So sattva, which is belonging to the knowledge element, rajas, which belongs to the action, and tamas, which belongs to the inertia. So knowledge is always linked to peace. Any knowledge when you get, you will get sukham. Rajas means what? It has got factors like greed. It has got all the actions related to action means whatever is responsible in your body to impel you to act. That is called as rajas. You want to earn money. You want to earn money. You want to run you want to go to Himalayas. These are all rajas. So rajas will lead you to what? It will lead only to dukkham, because ultimately it will not be satisfied. No amount of action you do, you will be satisfied. The ego I will never get satisfied with the rajas. Ego I will never get satisfied with the sattva. Ego I will never get satisfied with the tamas. After, whenever your ego I is not satisfied with these three, then it starts finding out who am I. And then it discovers that Atma, that pure consciousness, which is Gunatita.
Basically,
there is something other than this ahamkara, which is there in this body. And that something which is there in this body, but which is not the ahamkara, is called as the sakshi, the witness consciousness. So,
but
how
you cannot completely destroy the three gunas, right?
No. We cannot. Yes, you are right. You are right. We cannot completely understand the three gunas, or we cannot drop the three gunas. The Lord in the 14th chapter of the Gita, he teaches us that this is how the mind is. Know that the mind is nothing but the three gunas. And knowing these three gunas are affecting the gross body either to act or to gain knowledge or to sleep. Knowing that three gunas are acting in this way, now you ask, okay, who am I without these three gunas? And that is what is called as Atma. Yeah, Deepak, you were saying?
No, I said the Panchakoshas are the 5 sheets.
Yes, Panchakosha, the 5 sheets. And
the Vijnana Maya, see, I've understood that the Prana Maya is from prana, Mano Maya is from the mind.
Vijnana Maya is the doer.
Is the doer.
The doer is called as the Vijnana Maya.
Yes.
Doer and enjoyer.
Enjoyer.
Karta Bhokta is another name given to that is Vijnanamaya Kosha.
Vijnanamaya.
Okay, then there is a question here. In waking state without the ego, it's difficult for transaction, but at the same time, in subtler and higher states of ego or ahamkara, yes. So even after realize, do we have ego to complete our prarabdha? Yes, good, very good question. Yeah, Lakshmi, you're right. After knowing that I am the Sakshi, I am the pure I am the Atma I, or whatever you name you can give, Brahman, Atma, Sakshi, so many names are there, Turiyam, all these are just names. But substance is only one. So suppose I know that, then what happens? The question she is asking is very good question. Will there be an ego I or not to complete the prarabdha of the body? The answer is yes. The body cannot survive even for 1 second without the ego I. Not even 1 second, because that is the reflected consciousness. That is the power behind the body. So so ego I will remain, but it will be the roasted ego I. That I will be a roasted, pure, it will be a mature I. It will not be carried away by it will understand that I have to go through these experiences because that is as per the law of karma.
Mr. Shekhar,
yeah,
it is the same example as the mirage in the water.
Yes, you have known that it is a mirage, but it's a water.
And I'm aware. And now I'm aware.
I become aware.
Yes.
So I know, but in the case of ego I, what happens is it becomes like a cobra without the fang. It will not disturb you anymore. There will be no more poison. There will be no more poison in that ahamkara. Ahamkara will be a dormant ahamkara. It will just live as long as the body is there. As Sakshi, you will lead your life as a pure Jivan Mukta.
I see the snake, but I know it will not bite me.
Yes.
That's what you mean.
That's correct. So this is what is called as Jivan Mukti.
I go around my life.
Yes. I hold on my life. Yes. Yeah. I go through the life. No problem.
Without knowing that it is merely an illusion.
Yes. It will come and go. Tomorrow morning, another day will come.
Another day will start.
Another set of experiences will come for you. It will come for me. It will come for Deepak. It will come for Uma. It will come for Sornam. It will come for the whole universe. But note that this is an experience. It will also pass. But ultimately, who am I? I am the Sakshi. I am the witness of all these experiences.
I'm the witness of this.
Yes. Okay. Is there any other question from anybody else?
Shekharji,
huh?
I got one more question.
Yeah.
How can one escape from prarabdha, the effect of past action performed in the previous birth?
How can one escape from the past experiences of the previous birth?
No, you can't.
You see,
Prarabdha is there.
what happens is the moment you know that Atma is never born, and I am that Atma, you're not bothered. You're not bothered about the past experiences of this body, mind, thoughts. You're not bothered. Okay, theek hai, it is coming, it is going, and I'm not. That is what is called as the Gunatita Lakshana, where the Lord says he is Udasinaha. Udasinaha is the word used in Bhagavad Gita in the 14th chapter. So the Jnani is the person who is Udasinaha. Udasinaha means he is not at all affected with the three gunas. He is not at all affected. He says this is the play of Maya. I am the pure consciousness only as a knowledge. Yeah? Because in the world you will still be seen as doing actions. In the world you will still be seeing as if you're going through all the experiences. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, if there are no questions, then
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shekhar. Thank you.
Yeah.
By next week I should finish the rest of the lectures. I've started now going through the lectures.
Yeah, no problem. You take your time, Deepak. No problem.
Yeah, I'll just finish it by next week.
Yeah, very good.
And I've just recovered, so I'm now back into action.
Very good. It's God's blessings are with you. So
thank you.
You come out safe and
almost a month.
But anyway, you're back. So
I have one question.
Akshay, who is that?
So after doing Shravanam, means this Saddarshanam or any Gita.
Yes.
How to do means Mananam and Nididhyasanam, means we forgot to apply in life now.
Yeah, that's a good question. Mananam is basically whatever you have heard. Suppose you have heard today this Saddarshanam. Tomorrow, if you just go through this, just sit down in front of the Lord's picture and just close your eyes and just let these 2-3 verses, whatever you have learned, you have picked up. You see, I talk for 1.5 hours or 1 hour. Out of that 1.5 hour, if I have to recollect something, you will only recollect only 2-3 points. To remember what you have recollected, you will just take less than 3 minutes. That's all. Your recollection will be very, very less. So what you do is you try to recollect what you have heard from the text only. Don't look at anything else. For 10 minutes, for 5 to 10 minutes, you practice this every day. A time will come and you must very clearly tell yourself, when I'm sitting for this reflection, this is a private time. I'm allocating 10 minutes of my 24 hours and to reflect on 1 or 2 points. No need to take the whole lecture and all that. Make 2-3 simple points and let that run in your mind. For example, today, that is called as Mananam. Mananam, if you do for some time, after some time, then you will come to a process called as Nididhyasanam. Nididhyasanam is something later stage. First is Shravanam, next is Mananam. After Mananam, the third aspect is Nididhyasanam. Nididhyasanam is a state where you say that so far I have thought and I have been struggling with all my problems in the body and mind. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am Atma. That stage will come when your doubts get cleared through Mananam and you have had sufficient Shravanam to know a little bit deeper about Atma. So is it clear how to do Mananam? Mananam is sit down. Either you can sit and close your eyes and think about things, or you can even sit down with a pencil and paper and just write down, remember what you have learned. That is called as Mananam. When you do this and your own mind thinks about it, goes through the whatever you have learned, even rereading the notes, even re-listening to the class is will help you in mananam.
Then Nididhasanam, what you say?
Nididhyasanam is a process by which you conclude and say, I am not the body or mind. Where you try to learn to drop all the wrong notions you have had about yourself. I thought I was a student. I thought I was a sadhak. I am not a sadhak. I am a mukta purusha. I am Atma, pure nature. So again and again, bring the thought, I am not this, but I am that. I am not this, but I am that. So if I'm not a father, if I'm not a son, if I'm not a brother, who am I? I am that pure consciousness. That's all. See, this concept of realization is a very simple thing. It is not a very complicated thing. As long as I listen properly, understand properly, then it is easy for me to claim. That's all. Like the Pancha Koshas, I'd learn to drop. I am not any of these 5 koshas. Let it run in your mind. I am not the prana. I am not the manaha. I am not the stula sharira. Then who am I? When I dropped all this, whatever is left behind, just say I am that pure consciousness. This is revealed by Bhagavad Gita to me. It is revealed by Lord to me. So use the Nirvana Shatkam. Vijaya has said very clearly, that's a beautiful text called as Nirvana Shatkam. In my website, you will find the meanings and the, it's a very simple text. You just read the verses, you will know. Very beautiful text for Mananam. The ultimate Nididhyasana means dropping the whole ahamkara as me. Let it just be dropped and say, who am I then? Whatever it is, you realize that is what is your real nature. Okay, thank you. And we'll meet next week. Thank you and good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Shekharji, good night.
Thank you, Shekhar ji. Good night.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Good night, Shekharji.
Good night, Venkatesh. Thank you.